I want to start today with a very specific, very physical sensation. You know the one.
Hmm.
Picture it. It's, say, a Tuesday night. You're on the couch. You've had a perfectly fine day, maybe even a good one.
Right.
You pull out your phone just to check in, and you open a social media app. You scroll for maybe, 90 seconds, and suddenly the air just leaves the room.
It's that immediate physical drop, like the elevator cable just snapped.
Exactly. It's this tightness in the chest, a heaviness that definitely wasn't there 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you look around your apartment, and, logically, nothing has changed.
Your furniture's the same. Your bank account is the same as it was 90 seconds ago.
But internally, you feel small. You feel behind. And mostly, you just feel like you're losing a game you didn't even realize you were playing.
That is the universal hum of the digital age, isn't it? It's the background noise of modern life.
It really is.
And it's exactly what we're unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into a text called Stop Comparing, Start Claiming Your Life. And we are specifically zeroing in on the insights from Chapter 1.
And before anyone rolls their eyes and thinks, great, another lecture telling me to just delete Instagram and touch grass, just hang on.
Yeah, please do.
Because the mission for this deep dive is not to tell you to just stop it.
Which never works anyway. Just stop comparing is about as effective as telling someone to, just stop being hungry.
Right. We're going to flip the script entirely. The source material makes this really bold argument right out of the gate that, it completely changed how I look at this stuff.
Okay.
It argues that comparison is not a personality flaw. It's not because you're petty or jealous or ungrateful. It says it's biological. It is a nervous system habit.
And this is the core thesis that changes everything. If you see comparison as a character defect, like, I'm just a bad person because I feel sick when I see my friend's promotion, you get stuck in shame.
You start judging yourself for the feeling.
Exactly. But the text argues that if you have a human brain, and especially if you've lived through any kind of instability or survival-based conditioning, your brain has a program running in the background. It's constantly scanning for safety.
So when I'm doom scrolling at 11 p.m. and feeling terrible about my life,
Right.
that's my brain trying to protect me. That feels incredibly counterintuitive.
It feels backwards, I know, but think about it from an evolutionary perspective. For, thousands of years, our survival depended on the tribe.
Right.
The brain scans for position. It measures. It assesses. It wants to predict outcomes to keep you safe from being, exiled. The text explains that the brain tries to feel in control by watching other people and building a story.
A story that explains why they are safe and you might not be.
Exactly. It's trying to figure out, where do I stand in the pack?
Because it's a survival mechanism. It's checking to see if I'm the weakest link.
Precisely. It's not about envy, really. It's about survival. It's your nervous system trying to orient you in a hierarchy to ensure you don't get left behind.
But here's where the glitch happens, right? And I think this is the most insightful part of the chapter. We're running this ancient survival software.
Check where I am in the pack.
But we are feeding it completely corrupted data.
The highlight reel effect.
Right. The text calls this a massive distortion. You aren't comparing your reality to their reality. You are comparing your internal mess, your doubts, your pile of laundry, your anxiety to their polished, curated, finalized product.
And the brain takes that polished product and turns it into what the author calls inner evidence. That phrase really struck me.
Inner evidence that you are failing.
Wow. It's like a rigged trial.
It is. You're the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury. You take a photo of someone's vacation or their book deal, and you present it as irrefutable proof that your life is, quote, behind, smaller, or somehow wrong.
Even though, and we have to keep coming back to this, absolutely nothing in your actual physical reality has changed since you sat down on that couch. You're safe, you are fed, but the brain perceives a threat to your status.
And that's the tragedy the source points out. It's an illusion, but the cost is very real.
The text says comparison is one of the most invisible ways we abandon ourselves. That hit me hard.
We abandon our own lives to go live in the imaginary better life of someone else.
And you can't build your life if you're not in it. It steals your attention from the only place where you actually have power. If you're constantly looking sideways, you can't move forward. So if the problem is that we are abandoning ourselves to be spectators, the solution the text proposes is something called becoming the main character. Now, I have to be honest with you. When I first read that, I cringed. Hard.
You thought of TikTok trends, main character energy.
I did. I immediately thought of people filming themselves dancing in public. It sounds so narcissistic, like I'm the star, get out of my way.
Yeah. I get that.
But that's not what the source means at all, is it?
No, and it's so important to make that distinction. It's actually the opposite of narcissism. Narcissism is an obsession with how you're perceived by others.
Becoming the main character in the context of this book just means you stop living like you're an audience member in your own life.
Okay, let's drill down on that. What does an audience member life look like?
It looks like waiting. It looks like believing that your real life hasn't started yet. When you compare, you're casting yourself in a supporting role.
A supporting role.
You start believing that your purpose is just to catch up to someone else. You're the sidekick who is always lagging behind the hero.
And the hero is whoever you're stalking on LinkedIn that week.
Exactly. You're outsourcing the definition of success to them. You're saying their script is the right script. The text argues that the shift happens when you start measuring your worth against someone else's circumstances, which you can't control.
And start measuring it by your alignment.
Yes.
Alignment. So asking, is this what I actually want, rather
Yeah.
than, is this impressive to others?
Yes. And this leads to what I think is the standout metaphor of the entire chapter. The author writes, "Life is not a contest. It is a homecoming."
Life is a homecoming. I circled that twice in my notes. It's such a gentle reframe.
It completely changes the objective of the game. If life is a contest, then I have to look at you. I need to know if you're ahead of me so I can sprint faster.
I need to beat you.
But if life is a homecoming, a return to myself, my pace, my specific weird desires, then what you are doing it's irrelevant.
Because your path doesn't lead to my home.
Exactly. You can be running a marathon at a record pace, but if I'm trying to walk to my front door, your running doesn't make me late. It just means we're going to different places.
That reframe takes so much pressure off. The text says, you are not behind, you are becoming, which is beautiful. But
I hear a but coming.
well, it is beautiful philosophy. But I know my brain. I can intellectually agree that life is a homecoming, but when that panic hits at 10 p.m. and I see that my college roommate just bought a house and I'm renting a shoebox, the philosophy goes out the window.
The biological alarm is still ringing.
My chest is still tight, yes.
Yeah. Right. And that's fair. Willpower rarely works against biology. You can't just think your way out of a survival response with a pretty metaphor.
Exactly. And that's why I appreciate that this source pivots from philosophy to a literal toolkit. The author provides a specific action step called the comparison cleanse. It's a 5-minute protocol.
And it's designed to be done in the moment, when you feel the drop. Not later, not in therapy next week, but right when the feeling hits.
So let's walk through this step by step, because I think the nuance here matters, and I really want you to be able to use this. Step 1 is naming it. You have to say out loud, this is comparison, this is not truth.
The out loud part is key. It sounds silly to talk to yourself in your living room, but it breaks the internal loop.
How so?
When you're spiraling, you tend to merge with the feeling. You feel like you are a failure. Naming it separates you from the feeling. You're saying, I am a person experiencing comparison.
You are the observer of the feeling, not the feeling itself.
Right. It creates that little wedge of distance.
Okay, step 2. Return to reality. The prompt is to ask, what is true about my life today? And write down 3 facts. But the text puts a huge, bold warning here. Facts, not opinions.
This is where most people mess up, because when you're in a shame spiral, your facts are compromised. You might think a fact is, I'm a loser, or I'm not as successful as Dave.
Right. Fact. I am behind. Fact. Everyone hates me.
Those are not facts. Those are opinions rooted in fear. A fact is undeniable evidence that would hold up in a court of law. I am sitting in a blue chair. I have a roof over my head.
I drank coffee this morning. My heart is beating.
Yes, things like that.
It sounds almost too simple. Why does listing I have a blue chair help me deal with career envy?
Because it forces your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain, to come back online. Fear lives in the amygdala, the emotional center.
Facts live in the logic center.
Exactly. By engaging with physical, undeniable reality, you dampen the alarm bells. You prove to your brain that the immediate threat isn't real. You are essentially telling your brain, look, we are okay. We're just sitting in a chair.
It grounds you in the tangible, stops the time travel into the scary future. Okay, step 3 is my favorite. Reclaim your timeline. The text gives a sentence completion exercise. My life is not late. It is missed.
I love this one because it challenges the right timeline myth, the idea that you should be married by 30, a VP by 35, rich by 40, etc.
So how would you fill that in? My life is not late.
It is my life is not late, it is unfolding, or it is healing, or even just it is exactly where it needs to be. It creates acceptance. It reminds you that your timeline is yours.
And finally, step 4, supportive action. This is about breaking the physical state. The list includes things like putting the phone down, physically moving it away,
So important.
drinking water, taking a 5-minute walk.
It's about changing the input. If the input, the screen, is causing the distress, you have to remove the input. But it's also about agency.
Agency.
Using one small thing, even just wiping down the kitchen counter or watering a plant, moves you from passive victim of my emotions to active participant in my day. It proves to your nervous system that you can impact your environment.
So that's the mental cleanse. But the source material goes even deeper into that biology we mentioned at the start.
Right.
Since comparison is a survival response, your body thinking it's unsafe because you're losing, the solution has to be physiological too.
Right. You have to speak the body's language. The body doesn't speak in English. It speaks in sensation. The text introduces a practice called orienting.
This is a classic nervous system regulation tool. I've heard of this in, trauma therapy context as well.
It is, and it's incredibly effective because it is so simple. The practice detailed in the text is the 5-4-3 method.
Okay.
You look around the room and name 5 things you can see. Then 4 things you can physically feel. Then 3 things you can hear.
Again, for the skeptics listening who are thinking, how does counting things fix my inadequacy complex? What is the actual mechanism here?
It's about time travel again. Comparison is almost always about the past, regret about what you haven't done, or the future anxiety about never catching up. Orienting forces your senses to register the now.
It brings you back to the present moment.
Literally. It sends a signal up the vagus nerve that says, look around, there's no tiger here. There's just a lamp. There's just a table. You are safe.
And the text puts it perfectly. This reminds your nervous system that you are here, now, and safe, not in someone else's life or timeline.
Exactly.
And once you've done that, once you've pulled yourself out of the panic and back into your body, that's when you can actually do the deeper work, because usually there's something hiding underneath the envy, isn't there?
Always. Envy is a very crude map. It points us toward things we want but haven't admitted yet. It's information.
The text offers some journal prompts for this. One of them is, when I compare myself to others, what emotion is usually underneath it? But the one that really stopped me was the follow-up. What part of my life am I being invited to pay attention to instead?
That's the pivot point. It suggests that comparison is often just a distraction from our own work.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Say you're obsessively looking at a travel blogger's Instagram and you feel that heavy jealousy. You might tell yourself, I'm jealous of her money or I'm jealous of her looks.
Right.
But if you dig deeper, using that prompt, what you're actually feeling is a craving for, I don't know, adventure or freedom in your own life.
Right. So the envy isn't about her. It's your own soul screaming, hey, we want adventure. Why aren't we prioritizing that?
Exactly. You're ignoring your own desire to watch someone else live theirs. That's the abandonment we talked about earlier. The prompt invites you to take that energy back.
So instead of watching her, plan a weekend trip, even a small one.
Use the envy as fuel to build your own house.
It goes back to being the main character. A main character doesn't just watch the other actors. They have their own plot line to move forward.
And a main character has a backstory. They have an arc. That's the final question the text asks us to consider. What am I proud of that I rarely acknowledge?
We have such selective amnesia about our own resilience. We look at someone else and think they have it easy or they're perfect. And we look at ourselves and just see the struggle.
We do. We are so good at seeing everyone else's wins, but we completely erase our own history. The text says comparison makes you forget what you've grown through and what you've already overcome.
Which is wild, right?
Yeah.
You've survived 100% of your bad days. You've navigated heartbreak, career changes, loss. And then you see one picture on LinkedIn and decide you've done nothing with your life.
That's why you have to own your story. If you erase your backstory, you're just an extra in someone else's film. You have to claim your history to claim your life.
You have to honor what it took to get you to this exact moment. So let's bring this all home for you. If you're maybe still feeling a little bit of that chest tightness, or you're just wary of the next time you pick up your phone.
The bottom line from the source is this. You are not broken because you compare yourself. You are biological. Your brain is trying to keep you safe.
But that safety mechanism is misfiring. It's using distorted data, those highlight reels, to tell you that you are unsafe and behind.
So the way out isn't to beat yourself up. It's to cleanse and orient. Name the comparison, state the facts, the real, boring physical facts. Remind your body that you are here.
And ultimately, remember the goal. The goal isn't to win the race.
The goal is to come home. You don't need anyone else's life to validate yours. When you stop chasing the version of life you think you're supposed to want, you create space to build the one that actually sits.
And honestly, hearing that just makes me want to put the phone down and just exist in my own life for a while.
That is the best supportive action you can take.
So here is our challenge to you for today. We want to leave you with a thought based on this idea of homecoming.
If you truly accepted, just for the rest of today, that life is not a race to a finish line but a return to yourself, how would that change what you do for the next hour?
Would you speed up? Or would you slow down?
Would you keep scrolling? Or would you finally start that project you've been ignoring?
Think about it.
Yeah.
And try that 5-minute cleanse the next time the scroll hole tries to grab you. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.